Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Well, today's video is going to be like a tutorial really. I'm going to help you make something for your van or even for your car if you like. So just follow along. It's the first time I've made one of these, so you'll learn from my mistakes as well, I guess. But it is something that's very helpful. And yes, you guessed it, it's going to be a cover for the dash. Now I can put my hand on there in the full sun. It is so hot, I feel like I could fry an egg or 2 eggs and a piece of bacon on there. It is just so hot. The windscreen, the angle that it is on these Toyotas acts like a magnifying glass, and it's the same on every car. This just heats up, really heats up, and it's a common fault with Toyotas that these dashes can sometimes get so hot that they actually become a bit sticky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to design a cover that will fit around the edge of this dash top beautifully, very carefully, and it will look neat, it will look tidy, and it will protect all this area from the sun. You can make one for your van or your car if you like, and let's get started and let's jump right into it. Now I found an old piece of carpet that was really wide, so the first thing I did was to make a template for this very front piece, because the shape is really quite hard. It's very hard to get into there right at the very front. So I cut this piece of carpet to the right shape. It's easier to do it in pieces because it's very difficult to get in there and mark it. So it's easier if you're working with a smaller piece right from the very start. Let's have a look from the outside. You can see this little piece of old carpet fits in there very snugly, just around right and close to the windscreen. So I'm going to use this as the front piece when I make the template. This is going to be the very front of the template. Now for the main template, I've got an offcut of vinyl here, something I used for one of the vans. It was an offcut. So I'm going to use this to make the actual template for the dashboard cover. Not sure if it's going to be big enough because the dashboard in the Velfire is just huge. It's almost the same size as a rugby field. So I'm going to place this on the vinyl like that, and I'll mark that as the front part of the template, and then I'm just going to measure and mark the outside edges as it comes up towards the steering wheel. But I need to measure this piece of vinyl first, make sure it is actually big enough to cover the whole, the whole area. Right, now the dash is 550 deep, running from somewhere about the edge of that small template piece. So it comes right back to here. So this piece of vinyl is way too small. I need to find a bigger piece. Now this is the material I brought. I brought it from Bunnings. It's on the roll by the vinyl department. It's sort of a little bit woolly on one side, but on the other side it's quite smooth. I think I'm going to run with the, maybe I'll run with the smooth part at the top, or the woolly part, I'm not sure, see which looks best. But it was about $37 a metre. You would only need a couple of meters, or 1 metre I would say. You probably only need 1 metre, because as you can see the roll is quite wide. So you have to buy it by the metre, so the minimum would have to be 1 metre. So 1 metre would do you for the dash of the average van, I would say. But it looks quite nice, very easy to cut, just with a Stanley knife or a pair of sort of heavy duty scissors. I think you would cut it. I'm probably going to mark the line out with a pen or a bit of chalk maybe, so it doesn't mark it in any way. Put the template on the top and draw around it. Anyway, we've got to find another piece of vinyl so we can make our template. Okay, I found another piece of vinyl here that's a little bit bigger. It's going to do nicely, so I set the front part of my cutout for the template at the front, and I'll just work back this way with the measurements and the shape for the top of the dash. Cut it around so it's got a bit of curves in it, following the dash all the way around. It should do the trick nicely. So we just have one template, one piece. And then I can make a few of these. If I have the template, I can cut them out for all the vans that I build. So all the vans have the nice sun cover over the dash. Now you will need a Stanley knife and you will need some really sharp blades, guys. So I went to Bunnings and got some brand new Stanley knife blades. These are incredibly sharp. They're like razor blades. So be very, very careful you don't slice the end of your finger off. I've had so many accidents with these, you wouldn't believe it. So I'm very careful now and very, very cautious. So Robert, if you're out there watching this, keep Nicola away from your blades, okay? Keep Nicola away from your knife. I don't want to hear any more reports of people being cut, alright? Alright, so the first thing I did was cut out a piece of vinyl, roughly the right size that'll cover the dash, but a little bit bigger, so that I've got room to do some trimming. Right, so as you can see, I got my piece of vinyl sitting in over the dash there. I've got a piece cut out where the air is going to flow up onto the windscreen for the air conditioning and the demister. So that sort of sits in there right fine. So now I've just got to cut the edges and then come around with the curves of the top of the dash over by the steering wheel. So as you can see, it's a big dash, isn't it? This really highlights how big it is. It is huge. But the most crucial and the most difficult part is getting this inner edge right by the windscreen. So that's why I did a small piece first, because it's just so much easier to handle, measure and cut. So now I've got that perfect, pretty much perfect. Can trim the sides. Sitting in here, got the sides pretty much done, a little bit of trimming. Now to get the edge of this curved dash, I've just sort of been I've just been sort of feeling it with my fingers where the line of the dash would be and putting a little mark with the pen. So as you run your fingers around the edge of the dash, you can feel where the edge should be, and that's where you put your little pen mark. Just work your way all the way along the dash, just feeling that edge where the cut's going to be. Put a little pen mark where you can feel the edge of the dash, and that's where you're going to do a nice neat line and cut later on. Now because this is going to be trimmed, the line doesn't have to be beautiful, doesn't have to be accurate. So just come out about 2 inches, run your pen around following that dash mark, and then we're going to trim it till it lines up perfectly. So it's definitely going to be oversized. Not too much oversized, enough so that we can see where we're going, but just so that we just have a little bit to trim back and get it more perfect. Right, we'll cut along that line. Always keep your hand away from the knife blade. Keep the knife blade working away from your hand or your fingers. Robert, Nicola, take note please. Hand away from the knife, so the knife is traveling away from your hand or your fingers. Right, there we go. So we've got our basic dash cover template all marked out there, ready for us to put on and get a closer idea. We're going to trim that little bit there. A little bit of trimming as we go, bring it in closer and closer to where it should be. Remember, this is going to be on your car, this is going to be on your van for a long time, probably years. So if you don't get it right and it doesn't look right, scrap it and do a new template, okay? Because you don't want to be looking at something that is not good every time you get into your car. You want it to look nice and neat and tidy every time you drive your van. So if you've messed it up or cut it wrong, please throw it away. Make a new template. You could use newspaper, you could use a cardboard box, a big TV cardboard box from Noel Lemmings or something. Cut it so that it folds out flat, and then use that for a template. Use anything you like really. Okay, So here's our basic shape. Let's put it in the van and start marking it so we can trim it back a little bit. Right, so there we go. There's our basic sun cover, guys. It would almost do the job just like that. Fits in there just perfectly. And you can see the basic shape of the lines of the top of the dash. It's quite curvy. Let's have a look at it from the outside. As you can see, the ends, they fit in there very snugly. Just fits in there beautiful. So now all we got to do is trim that edge. Trim this edge along the line of the dash. There's the line under there. I don't want it hanging out, flopping over the edge. It'll just look messy or untidy. Better to have it in just a little bit. So you can just see the edge of the dash around the outside. That is fine. So we'll just start slowly trimming it in closer to that trimmed line now. Right, so again, I ran my fingers around the dash so I could feel the edge of the dash line, and I slowly filled in the line, the dots, and got a good idea of the edge of the line for the dash. So that's probably where we're going to end up. So we're going to cut this, but we're going to do the same as last time, guys. We're not going to cut right up to the edge where we think it will finish. We're going to go there slowly, okay? So we make sure we got it right. We're going to make another line, this time about 1 inch or just under an inch away from the final line, just so we can ease our way slowly up to the final line. Remember, we want this as perfect as we can get it. It's going to stay there a long time. We don't want it to look amateurish or dodgy. We want it to look like a bought one, okay? Like a professional one. So we're going to take it slowly and get it just right. So we're not going right up to the line. We're coming out an inch or just under, and we're going to trim it up again, and then we're going back to the van to check it one more time. Right, let's cut this. Remember, the knife moving away from your hand or your fingers. Right, so we're getting closer to that final shape. Right, let's try it in the van one more time, and then I'll come back. Right, so I have done my final markings. I've got a little bit to trim down the side there. I've checked with my fingers along this line here by feeling the edge of the dash where it starts to sort of curve over here. It's going to sit on the top. It's not going to poke out and go floppy over the edge or stick up. There's going to be, the edge of the dash is going to be showing through. This is going to be back just a fraction, so it looks nice and neat and tidy. I'm very happy with my final markings. It's sitting in there very snug on the other side. So I think I'm ready to go ahead and make the final cut on the template. Right guys, we are ready for the final cut on our template. I tell you, I'm getting excited now. We're getting close. Okay, oh, this is exciting stuff. Okay, so I'm going to make my final cut here. That's it. And a little bit here. There we go, that's it. Now I've got my final line to follow here. And that's it. Our template is complete. Here we go. Here we go. Exciting stuff. I tell you, this is great. Just like the old days on the Kiwi Vanman channel, when I used to actually show people how to do stuff. Rather than just showing them what I'm doing, which gets a bit boring after a while, I actually used to show people how to do stuff, like tinting your windows and all sorts of things like that, cleaning your lights. I did all of that on the channel. Go back on the channel over the years and you'll see all those videos. So today we're going back to our roots. We're actually showing people how to do things. Pretty cool. Right, here we go. A lot of concentration needed here. This is going to be the final shape on our cover. Alright, that's it. That's it. I've used up all the old blades. Now I can use the new Gillette Super Stainless Steel blade with the new plastic coating on the edge. The one they call the spoiler. Does anyone remember that ad? I do, showing my age now. Okay, so there it is. That is the template for our sun cover. Let's see how it fits in the van one more time, and if it's perfect we'll come back and cut out the matting and make the real cover for the dash. Right, well that's it guys, that's the final shape. I think I'm pretty happy with that. But here there was a piece of dashboard that was quite exposed. It gets really hot, so I cut another little square and I've taped it onto the template, and I'm just going to cut the corners off so it's a little bit round on the corners, and that covers the bulk of that piece there that is exposed to the sunlight, just to stop that part from heating up. But really the rest of it, this is sort of curling a bit, mainly because it's vinyl, and when the sun's hitting it, the vinyl sort of goes all soft and wavy. But once it's made of the carpet, I think it'll be completely different. It'll just sit nice and flat and look quite nice. So let's cut one out, shall we, and see how it looks. Right, so here is our final template. Here is our material all laid out here. So all we got to do is slice this up. We can cookie cutter and do a few more for my other vans. I've got quite a collection of vans at the moment. And we'll do one first and see how it looks, eh? Well, here is the final product, guys. Sitting in there quite nicely. Just sits on top of the dash, protects it from the sun so it doesn't dry out and crack or start to melt in the heat. You may think it looks a bit naff, but if you don't like it, don't make one. But I'd rather have my dashboard protected from the harsh rays of the sun than starting to look really old and tattered after a while. So let's see how it looks from the outside. Here it is from the outside. Can't see a lot, I guess, with the reflections. Maybe see how it looks from this side. There we go. I think it looks okay. I'm pretty happy with it. In the past I've always used the silver reflective screen covers, but sometimes you're just stopping for an hour somewhere, or you just go into a cafe or a restaurant, or you go in to buy some stuff at the supermarket. You got to put the silver cover up and pull it down again and fold it up. Can be a bit of a hassle, whereas this one can just stay on there all the time. Just sits there all the time. I put my hand underneath it now and the dash actually feels quite cool. It does not feel hot at all. So that's the exact effect I want to have. So it can just sit there and protect my dash from the hot sun. Let me know what you think in the comments if you like it, if you would like one, if you'd like to make yourself one, let me know in the comments. It is fun and it doesn't take too long. It's going to last for years if you do it properly, so it's worth doing properly and doing a good job of it. Let me know what you think in the comments, whether you like it or not, or if you're going to make one for your van. Give us a like, a thumbs up, or a subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care everyone, have fun with your camper van. Over and out.